I'm Ms. Stratton and I teach Living Environment. I also co-teach with Mrs. Sarah Clement during my fifth period class and 6B. This is an overview of the course. I will post this PowerPoint to Schoology so you'll be able to more closely view the slides that I am showing and going over with you. Before I start going through the slides, I just want to say thank you to all the parents and the students. This remote learning environment is very challenging for all of us, whether it's the technology or just trying to learn without having to be in the school, in the classroom with the teachers. And I appreciate your patience and the hard work of everybody. And I look forward to the day when we're all going to be here. So here is just a little bit about myself, showing some, my family. I used to coach basketball. I like to hike. My kids are very, very involved. I've got lots of nephews and one little niece. And on the next slide, it'll be a little bit about Mrs. Clement. She has two kids, loves the outdoors, going hiking and hunting. So that's just a little bit about each of us. Here are the online expectations we have for our class. The first is to be on time to the class period. We understand that there's times when technology is not cooperating, and typically students let someone else in the class know, or they send one of us a message letting us know. Science is a lot of active learning. We are working in breakout rooms to work in groups or class discussions, or we're doing labs, so there's lots of active learning going on. Learning in a remote environment is very difficult, and it's so important for students to ask for help. So if they don't like to talk in class, they've got to utilize the chat, message me when they're stuck on something they're working on outside of class, but it's in some way asking for help. Students are good about muting themselves. We really encourage students to have their cameras on so that we know they're there and present and actively listening. I know some students are not comfortable with that, and so we're asking that they have a profile picture just so we can see their faces. It's very difficult when you can't see the students' faces. Students have been good about logging in with their first and last name. Having patience. I have lots and lots of it because I'm hoping everyone has patience with me as I'm navigating through this. And then we've all been good about respecting the contributions of our classes. Here's the contact information for myself and for Mrs. Clement. We will respond to emails within 24 hours or sooner. It might be a little bit longer if it's a weekend, and students have been really good about sending us Schoology messages when they need to check in or get help. There's a detailed syllabus posted on Schoology. This is a Regents course with a required lab component of 1,200 minutes. We are keeping track of the students' labs. Students have paper copies of some of them at home. We're asking them to save those so they can bring them into school for us to store. Any labs they're turning in virtually, we're saving for them. And then if the state requires us to show them evidence of labs, we could print those files. This course focuses on enduring topics, so topics stretching across all of science, and basic science process skills, asking questions, analyzing data, arguing from evidence. We are shifting to a storyline approach with the biology content to align with the upcoming changes to the standards. There'll be more on this later on in the presentation. So class meeting times for science, I think we're all getting used to the schedule, but they have a block for class every week. So they meet 2 days with me for class, and then every other week they will have lab. And here's the breakdown for the grades. Exams and quizzes are 50%, labs or projects are 30%, and then classwork, homework, participation. Here's tentative dates for our units. You can see the names of the different storyline units we're going to cover. We are currently in our Africa storyline. We just started this. Next will be homeostasis. We have one called melanin, one called disease, and one called penguins. And then towards the end of the year, we'll make sure we cover the human body systems and review for the Regents exam. Okay, so Schoology, where to find things on our course page. I'm trying to keep it very organized and for each unit to keep things in the same labeled folder. So first of all, at the top is a Zoom link. I do send out the link every day in a message before class. Then you can see the different unit folders, and within those folders, there's one for daily agenda. So if a student misses a class, they'll know what we did in class that day. There's one for the daily warm-ups, which if we have a warm-up in class, I will send it out to them. One for labs and data. So students that have missed a Zoom when we did a lab, they'll be able to access a copy of the lab and any data that we did together as a class. And important notes. There's one for past assignments. We have firm due dates. We understand technology doesn't cooperate or other things, issues arise. So a student just needs to contact us when submitting things late, and we tend to be very, very flexible about that. All right, a typical class period, we will have a warm-up. Students get this link and they do it before they come into class. And we'll go over it that day or the next. There's direct instruction to review a skill or a recap of what we've learned so far on a topic. Then we'll do group activities, breakout rooms, we'll do a lab, and then we'll wrap up at the end. And sometimes students will submit their work right during the Zoom time, or they can log off the Zoom and they'll have 20 to 30 minutes to finish the work on their own. In our block of time, we try to have the majority of the work completed. So they have the time with us in the Zoom or to finish up on their own. Wednesdays, even though this is a fully remote day for all students, all grade levels, we still have to take attendance. And so there's typically a quick review, a set of questions for students to do, and then sometimes we'll use it for the students to take a quiz. So this is just a typical warm-up that students would see on most days. Some days we do them as an exit ticket to see what they learned in class and what we still need to cover the next day or review. And then these are the daily agenda slides that I was referring to. These are on Schoology, and then all these underlined things are links, so it'll take the students right to the different documents that they would need. So it really is like just one-stop shop for the different assignments and tasks from class. So they're not like looking all over in different folders in Schoology. Okay, so the storylines, this involves the use of an introductory phenomenon. So for our current unit, Africa, this week they watched a video called Battle at Kruger. Feel free to ask your students about it. Then from there, they develop questions for our driving question board for the unit. And then for these driving in essential questions, we'll work on a variety of activities. So we've been looking at why it's beneficial for lions to hunt in groups. And you can see before we would have separate units for the different topics, but with these storylines, we try to incorporate the connect and make connections across the different topics because that's what real life is like. DNA is tied in with evolution and ecology. So it's a much more connected and authentic way to teach the material. And then this is just a notebook that they have. So all students have a digital notebook. We would have had a physical notebook had we been here in school, but this one is all students saved this this week. And it just links them to all the different activities we're going to do. There's places for them to reflect, and there's places for vocab and the essential questions. So this is, again, it's replacing the physical notebook that they would have had in the class, and it's trying to keep everything in one place. There's links to vocabulary. Each unit will have what I call visual vocabulary. So there's pictures to go along with each of the words if that's how your student learns better. And just to wrap up, we're all in this together. My goal is to make your students better learners. Overall, I want them to learn bio, but learning some skills they can use in all of their classes or in other areas of their life is what I'm hoping. Again, this will be posted on Schoology if you need to go back and review any of the information. Thank you.